Where are you voyaging? What will become of you? Do you still believe in this merciless world?
And you, a miracle happened to you at Hersh, and you were saved. But how about the rest? Can you still believe?
Of course I believe. Perhaps you're thinking of the kind of man whose faith that the Almighty is to be found only in the pleasant places of this world, but is not to be found, God forbid, in the desert and wastelands.
What do you want at Hersh? Shall I see the greatness of God in the thought that only He could cause such destruction?
Without any doubt, I couldn't remain on earth for 1 minute without the thought of God. How could I stand it without Him in this murderous world?
We left the metro near the Jewish quarter, and we passed the old city hall, the Hotel de Ville. In the niches of the wall of the Hotel de Ville stand stone figures. At Hersh, look at those statues. See how much goodness lies in their stone faces. These wise men lifted mankind out of its bestial state. They wanted to illuminate men's minds with wisdom so they would be able to grow away from their untamed desires.
The Germans too produced great and learned men. Did they really live as they taught? Did those philosophers influence their own nation to become better? When his reason is calm and pure, a man doesn't know what he's likely to do when his dark desire overtakes him. A man admires his own wisdom and is proud of his knowledge. But as soon as a little desire begins to stir in him, he forgets everything else. Even if they wanted to, the wise men of the Gentiles couldn't become good to the very roots of their being because they don't have a law. Their ethics were worked out by human minds. They trusted their reasoned assumptions as men trust the ice of a frozen river in winter. Then came Hitler and put his weight on the wisdom of the wise men of the nations. The ice of their slippery reasoning burst, and all their goodness was drowned. And together with their goodness to others, their own self-respect was drowned. Your enlighteners used to sing this tune: be a Jew at home and a man in public. So you took off our traditional coat and shaved your beard and earlocks. Still, when you went out into the street, the Jew pursued you in your language, in your gestures, in every part of you. You cried in the public square, the nations of the world dislike us because we're different. Let us be like them. And you were like them. Not only that, but you stood at the head of their civilization, where there was a famous scientist, thinker, writer. There you found a Jew. And it was precisely for that reason that they hated us all the more. They won't tolerate the idea of our being like them.
At Hersh, you lumped me together with the murderers and demanded an accounting of me for the world. I can be as harsh an accuser of you. I can cry out against you and demand an accounting of you. If we have abandoned Jewish tradition, it's your fault. You barricaded yourself, shut the gates, and let no one out into the open. From generation to generation, you became more fanatical. Your hearts are cold and your ears deaf to all the sciences of the world. You ask me what has changed for me since the destruction, and what has changed for you? You answer that your faith has been strengthened. I tell you openly that your answer is a paltry, whining answer. I don't accept it at all. You must ask God the old question about the righteous man who fares ill and the evil man who fares well, only multiplied for 1 million murdered children. The fact that you know in advance that there will be no explanation from heaven doesn't relieve you of the responsibility of asking for that house. That house. It's late. Let us take leave of each other. Our paths are different, spiritually and practically. We are the remnant of those who were driven out. The wind that uprooted us is dispersing us to all corners of the earth. Who knows whether we shall ever meet again? May we both have the merit of meeting again in the future and seeing how it is with us. And may I then be as Jewish as I am now. At Hersh, let us embrace each other.